What's up, and welcome to another industry insider interview here on the FiveTwenty Collective Podcast. As always, we are being sponsored by the Bookkeeper 24/7. Check them out at tbk247.com, where they are changing the culture for God. Guys, if you are looking for a great just platform where they are giving you consistently updated, consistently high quality news of what's happening within the Christian hip hop space, the Bookkeeper 24/7 does that for you. So check them out. Again, it's tbk247.com. And joining me right now on the FiveTwenty Collective phone line, he is an artist consultant that focuses on marketing and development. He is also a best-selling author of the Boom Bap Review, along with a myriad of other things that we can get into as we're going. I'm excited to have him here on the show. It is Stowe. What is good, man?
How's it going, everyone? Eric, I appreciate you for having me on. I hope you all have your website. All right? Before we even get started, I hope you all have your website. But no, honestly, I appreciate you for having me on.
Well, man, that's what we got to say, man, because, anyone that follows you knows that Stowe is the website guy. But honestly, if you don't have a website, go get it, right? I mean, it's exactly. Almost 2022.
Right. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
I don't know. Well, you tell me, man, because, obviously here at FiveTwenty Collective, we interact and we focus on those indie artists, and we're talking to guys who are just getting started. And, a lot of them are like, I don't even know. Where do I go? I just want to make music, right? But I mean, one of the easiest first steps is that website. Why do you feel like so many people are missing it?
Honestly, I don't blame. I used to blame the artists back in the day and stuff like that. Like, what's going on? Like, how do you not have a website? Why is there so much pushback? But if you look at the landscape these days, it's not surprising. You have social media, which a lot of artists and creatives, and it's not just artists, it's creatives as well, that believe that social media is a substitute for that. And, it doesn't matter how many followers you have. I'm about to hit the 10K mark here, hopefully before year's end. But you still got to have a website, really just based on how the algorithms work. So a lot of artists, again, they believe that, well, as long as I go viral on social media, or if I have a lot of followers, or if I get a lot of likes, boom, I'll blow up, I'll make a lot of money. There we go. But it almost never works like that. You can ask any artist. And that's not to say that virality doesn't help. That's not to say that virality doesn't exist. But to depend on that virality to make a profit, to support your family, even as I say that out loud, it makes no sense.
Right, exactly. And like you said, I mean, you're talking about, you're putting your content, you're pouring it into something that you don't own and you don't control in the end, right? And we can definitely talk about it on the music side stuff. We can get into that a little bit later because it all ties in. But if the only thing you can do is tell people, go check out my Instagram page, man, what happens when Instagram's down or when Instagram removes your account? I mean, it makes sense if you sit there and just think about it. But the problem is people aren't seeing it. And that's weird to me.
It makes sense in the extent that, like think about it. When a lot of us start our day, a lot of us honestly start our day on social media, you know what I mean? And end our day with social media. And when you take a look at, again, how companies, again, because it's companies running these platforms, people, it's not honest to goodness independent musicians that want to see us all succeed. No, that's not who's running those platforms. It's capitalists and corporations who have their own agendas. We're not a part of that agenda. I guarantee you that. So when looking at, when looking at the surface level stuff, right? If we see Kendrick Lamar, get all these retweets and all these likes and get all this coverage, some artists take that to be like, oh man, if Kendrick can do it, so can I. It's the same with the surprise album phenomenon. You've seen, or I've seen, or maybe we've seen, so many people be like, I'm just going to drop an album on them. I saw Beyonce do it. I saw Drake do it. I'm going to do it. It's like, well, wait a minute. Beyonce and Drake both have millions of literal dollars behind their name. And they could literally sneeze on the track for 30 seconds and people will give them millions of dollars. The majority of us, myself included, I want to be clear, myself included, I'm not trying to be above anybody. We can't do that. We're just Joe Schmo. No one cares. You know what I'm saying? So we have to focus on the people that do care, focus on the people that are paying attention to the things that we're doing. Trying to expect virality, especially through social media, you rarely get the results that you're looking for.
Right. And so I think, maybe one of the counters to that potentially, now this is just me, spitballing here and put myself into those shoes of an artist. But if I'm just getting started, and especially if I'm a young dude or a young lady out there, maybe I don't have the biggest budget. What would you say to someone who's like, okay, yeah, I know I need to get a website, but I don't have enough money to get one of these top tier sites. Like, how important is, I guess, just where you start at, whenever it comes to, getting your own digital space?
Absolutely. This is one of my favorite questions to answer, because artists will also, and like you kind of alluded to, like, will say, like, well, I don't have all this money, and I got a job and I'm supporting people and stuff like that. Like, what am I supposed to do? I want to say, first of all, if you want to be an artist as your career, as something that you want to support your family on, you have to have that mindset as well. Now, I'm not saying, all right, throw everything away and just start being a rapper. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is, when it comes to things like a website, when it comes to things like genuinely learning and figuring out how to move in the industry, you have to be willing to invest in that. And listen, as we're all human beings, right? We all have vices. We all have things that we're struggling with. We all have things that sometimes we're putting money in places that maybe we shouldn't, and stuff like that. But again, if you're going to be an artist and you want that to be your career, you have to treat it as such. And again, it's not just art. Think about any other profession almost. You have to invest at some point in learning how to do your career. I don't care if you're a writer or an engineer. You have to put money at some point into learning. And I think a lot of artists are just like, well, the music's dope, so they owe me money for that. And it's just like, yo, there are 60,000 Spotify tracks dropping every single day. Like, I'm sorry, like that's it's a crazy number and stuff like that, but we have to think about that from a realistic kind of vision to an extent. And again, that's not to say that you can't blow up, but I'm rambling at this point. If you're starting from again, we all don't have money to just pour into stuff. So my thing is this: number one, do your research on how much it really takes to build up a website. Because here's the thing, cats always love to be like, well, the websites they're too expensive. But if you go to Squarespace, it really ain't that bad. So at some point we have to be like, do you want to really do this artist stuff? Or are you just kind of doing this as a hobby and you're not willing to put in that money? We can all do the studio stuff. We could all spend, I watch artists all the time spend all this money on music videos that they have no idea how to promote. When are we going to take some of that investment and invest in the education and invest in, again, a platform that you own? The money that you're putting into a website, if you're doing your things correctly, guess what, folks? You're going to get that money back and tenfold if you do it correctly. But yeah, we gotta invest in ourselves first. So, Squarespace really isn't that expensive. But if you can't afford a website right now, that's fair too. So right now it's about finding your target audience. Who are you trying to reach? Not who is Kanye trying to reach, not who Lecrae is trying to reach, not who Plato, Scribbling Idiot, Deep Space 5, not who they're trying to reach. Who are you trying to reach? And figure that out and genuinely get consistent in creating content for those people. At this current moment, I'm talking on this phone to you. You're in another city right now. We're talking on these advanced devices. These same devices take 4K video. These same devices take incredible pictures. You don't have to pay a photographer. You don't have to pay, a video person to record what you do in the studio and stuff like that. Taking that even a step further, documenting what you're doing. That's $3.99. You know what I mean? I hate to say this, but sometimes it feels like artists, they want to be famous. They want the money. They want the bag. They want the supporters. I can't even get cats to put in a legitimate caption on their IG just to pull people in. So, there's so much free stuff. And especially now, that's what's so sick about 2021, 2022. Any of us can pick up a microphone and start making music if we really wanted to. That was not possible even like 30 years ago. So, it's taking the time to take advantage of the resources that we have. If you can't invest right now, that's fine. But we got to put in more energy on the stuff that we can't, more energy in the stuff that we are doing so that we're able to reach those people. And then when it's time to invest, you already got a head start.
Yeah, man. And there, you said a lot of stuff there that I definitely want to dive into. But before we move forward, I'll be completely transparent with what we did here at 520, right? And I know we're not artists, we're fans of artists, right? And we wanted to make this platform to be able to support these guys that we love their music and what they're doing, Do what?
Exactly. You're building a community, though. That's still, it's up the same ilk. You know what I mean?
Well, exactly. And here's what we did. And I've told a few guys this. I think I've said this a time or two out in the public, but I want to make it very clear. And you can tell me your thoughts on it. But man, we didn't have a bunch of money sitting around to get this off the ground, but we didn't let it stop us either, right? Like when we first started, man, our site, no lie, was a free blogger site. Did it do everything we wanted to do? No, we figured out a way to make it work though until we could generate a little revenue, show people what we're trying to do, get them behind it. And then we were able to upgrade to WordPress and all this different stuff, right? So that's been my message is like, dude, if you want to do it, just start, like when we started the podcast, it was, at the time, we were using our phones basically and using Anchor, to record a podcast. And then as we started generating that revenue, we started investing back into it and buying equipment and upgrading and so on and so forth. I think if you really want it, there's ways to do it even with almost a zero budget.
Exactly. And honestly, I'm gonna piggyback off you for just a second. It's like I came into this game as a journalist, as a Christian hip hop journalist. So, before I was doing artist consulting and before all that, I had a WordPress page, a dot WordPress. You can still look it up actually, bigsto.wordpress.com. It's still up there. You can find my Christian hip hop podcast. You can find all that stuff. My gosh, that had to have been from 2008, maybe 2007, 2008, something like that. So that's where I started. And then from there, I was just covering records. I just put in the work. And then I started writing for Rapzilla and then, Dead End Hip Hop and stuff like that. So it just evolved from there. So you're absolutely right. If you want to get it, you're going to figure out a way to get it. But I do feel like sometimes creative, and I get it. Like there's so much work that goes into this. So it can get discouraging, and whatnot. But if you really want to get after it, there are ways. And what I also want to mention is like, it's okay to go a step at a time. Yes, I may say, get a website. But if you're not ready for a website and you have other things, other resources like getting a Bandcamp or having a link tree or whatever, go ahead and do that. Take your time. I'm never going to tell you to sacrifice everything to have a rap career. Like I'll literally never say that. But there are ways to get in contact. There are ways to still gain supporters, but we have to put in that energy. We have to put in that work. If we don't put in the work, no one's gonna care. It sucks to say. Artists I feel like don't like hearing that, but if you're not willing to put in the work, I guarantee you there's another artist out there that is willing to put in the work.
Yeah, man. And I feel like the Christian hip hop space just on as a whole, kind of on the grand scale, whether you're an artist, you're media, you're producers, whatever, I feel like we like to kind of use this excuse of, man, we're Christian hip hop, so we're kind of behind the 8 ball here a little bit compared to the mainstream. And it's like, man, let's get over that a little bit, right? We all, mainstream, the Christian world, whatever, we all face the same hurdles that we got to get over, right? The question is, do you let it hold you back?
Exactly. No, that's exactly it. And it's like, listen, like, I remember being in college, be like, what, Christian hip hop? I can't believe you're even listening to that, let alone writing about it. And it's just like, yeah, that was what it is. But if you keep pushing through that and understand that there really aren't too many barriers and differences, between the hip hop, it's just a feeling of expression and stuff like that. We can move forward.
Yeah, exactly. And man, I knew that you were connected to, the CHH world. I didn't realize how far though, man, like, or how much you were connected to it. Like how did you get into just Christian hip hop?
Yeah. My cousin Arlen, shouts out to him when I was at 8th grade, maybe 7th grade. He gave me 3 CDs. He gave me Sivion's Spring of the Songbird, Surreal and DJ Balance's Future Classic, and Braille's Shades of Grey. Yeah, all 3 of those records are classics to me. They completely changed my life in terms of just how I, listen to hip hop and how I listen to music. And at the time, I was like, dang, how come no one's really covering this? And how come no one's really talking about it? And so, yeah, I started that blog for that. And like I said, there's got to be over 50 to 100 reviews on that site alone. There's at least 35 plus podcast episodes of me just covering some of the music. And I'm very blessed to be connected to some of those cats now. I've met some of them now. And yeah, from there, I went to college, I kept writing. Again, I wrote for people who have written for Hip Hop DX. I wrote for Rapzilla for a little bit. Moved on to Dead End Hip Hop. Did my thing over there. I've written for a bunch of places at this point. Just making sure that I keep the culture of hip hop alive outside of the usual mainstream stuff. There's so much good music and classics, in and outside Christian hip hop that I feel just get underlooked time and time again. So making sure that they're getting covered it's extremely important to me.
Man, you mentioned Deep Space 5, man, and that's like my happy place right there. It's throwing on a TS5 album, and it was really cool seeing your interview with Crumb with his new project that just dropped. So that was really awesome, man. I was like, oh, dude, here's Stowe with Crumb. I mean, what could be better, really? So shout out to you for that, man.
No. Shout out to Crumb for even bringing me on. I was very blessed to help him with the rollout of the Theory Hazard record that he pushed last year. And for those that don't know, Theory Hazard is my favorite rapper of all time. He's incredible. And so working with them was crazy. A couple of guys across the kind of spectrum, I guess. I've been very thankful to work with Kaz Meta, Theory Has It. Definitely talked to Seth Static. Talked to Soup the Chemist before he dropped his book. Journey Big from the Tunnel Rats. There's the list goes on and on. So they essentially raised me in hip hop. I will always give them credit for that because it's just Christian hip hop is very special, but obviously the rest of the world sees it as very different. But if you actually take the time to study the game and see what's really going on, it's extremely powerful.
Exactly. I mean, there is definitely talent in this space, man. So I'm glad, whenever we have people like you helping to just share that, with others that maybe maybe some of us can't get to, you know? So definitely thank you for that.
Absolutely.
So, man, so I know aside from the website, another thing that you push, which is obviously very important, and I want to dive into a little bit, is, you know, finding your audience, right? Finding your target audience. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that, and obviously I don't want to, like, you know, get all your secrets or anything, man, but whatever we can talk about, because I want people reaching out to you, right, and seeking you for this advice and this support. But like, what's the place that you would start at, as far as, like, you know, how do I even start thinking about what my audience looks like?
Right, absolutely. You know, I genuinely think part of it is just slowing the train down for just a second. And, you know, I get artists all the time. I want to drop this. I want to drop that. I want to drop this. I want to do that. It's like, like, I love the energy. But here's the thing, is that 9 times out of 10, the artist or creative is seeking something, whether it's attention, whether it's blog coverage, whether it's playlist placement, whether it's money. They're looking for something. But some of those same artists have absolutely no clue who they're pitching to. So when we talk about this logically, and just from, like, even a statistical standpoint, it's just like, okay, you don't know who you're pitching to, but you want to go viral, you want to blow up, you want to make all this money, you want all these fans and all this stuff. That doesn't even add up. If you're trying to be an artist as your career, we have to think about it as a career. You're a business, and that's not saying, you know, in the capitalist sense, but it's in the sense of looking for a profit, and, you know, when you don't have the supporters that you're looking for. So when it comes to finding your target audience, really sit down and think, okay, who am I trying to make music for? And again, and I talk about this with artists all the time, because so many artists ask me this question: how do I find my target audience? How do I find my target audience? And I'm like, yo, that's almost impossible for me to do in the DMs. That's almost impossible for me to do over Twitter, because you really have to sit down and think about who you specifically are trying to pitch to. And especially, you know, obviously in the DMs and stuff like that, I don't know you at this current point. So I don't know what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish. Every single artist's target audience is different. You may have similar sounds, you may do, you know, X, Y, Z, but every artist has different goals. Every artist is trying to pitch to somebody different. So what I say is always slow down and really think about, you know, if you're on stage right now, what does your crowd look like? Now, obviously, right, the answer, I get this answer all the time, well, you know, it could be anybody. No, that's not how it works, right? Like, think about anything in the consumer space or art or whatever. Everybody's not going to be a fan. There are going to be people that don't like your music. There are going to be people that love your music. So saying, oh, the crowd would just be anybody, doesn't make sense. So really slow down and think about, okay, who am I making music for? Who are the type of people that I can imagine listening to my music? And obviously, right, that's just scratching the surface. But from there, it's really about making content for those people. You know, I'm way off base here, right? But, like, if you look at Griselda, they have a very distinct target audience, right? And, you know, there's a certain kind of, and they've done a great job, right, of being like, okay, yeah, sure, you know, we're trying to, you know, make music for those bouncy gangsta types, but we're also trying to make music for those underground heads that are like, what happened? You know what I mean? What happened to them? What happened to hip hop? Why is radio hip hop so, like, just ridiculous? They're making music for those cats too. So, and again, I'm not saying, like, because a lot of cats are going to hear this and be like, oh, well, my audience is Griselda, is like Griselda's. No, it's not. It's really not. Like, yours is, and especially starting off, you have to be a bit more niche about it. Griselda didn't start off as popular as they are now. I think a lot of cats miss that too. Like, West Side has been at it for almost 15 years. And some people are just now learning about him. So it takes time to get to that point. But to get back on track, it's again figuring out who you are trying to appeal to. You know what I mean? Like, you know, when you look at, I like using Deep Space Five as an example because as a collective, their target audience, obviously, you know, when you know, not considering the Christian market, is they're trying to get to the people that were into the group dynamic, that were into the Wu-Tang clans and stuff like that. You know, I remember reading so many articles back in the day. It was like, well, they're the Deep Space Five, they're the Christian Wu-Tang. You know what I mean? And they, you know, whether they knew it or not, you know, they were like 7-8 guys deep. So hip hop heads that missed that group dynamic automatically, in or outside Christian hip hop, would tune in and be like, yo, these dudes are nuts. But then, right, if you take each member of the group, they're literally just very distinct individuals, right? Like if you take Plato, or well, Crumb and Seth Static, they're two completely different artists, right? If you take The Listener and you take Sivion, two completely different artists. And their distinct target audiences would be massively different, obviously, if you take out the whole Deep Space Five affiliation. So kind of think of it like that, is that everybody has their distinct audience. You got to really think about who's mine and who am I really trying to attract. Not just who I imagine listening to, but who am I trying to attract to the music.
Yeah, man. And you know, the further in the years we've gone, man, listeners gotten even different on that audience, dude. So, but
he's a prime example of that. He really is. It's incredible what he's done.
Exactly. So, now one thing that you mentioned, man, that I want, you know, to kind of just circle back to a little bit. And what I'll say to preface this is, you know, if you're looking at trying to find your audience, is don't overlook the people that are willing to try to help you get there either, right? Like one thing that I've heard some people say is, man, we don't need blogs and we don't need websites anymore. You know, that's a thing of the past. But you mentioned it. You said, are you trying to get on there? And I think that's something that's getting overlooked. We're like, everyone's just thinking, I just gotta get a viral TikTok and I'm good or whatever. And it's like, man, you know, blogs, websites, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, we may play a different role now than at one point, but there's still something that we can offer. So like when you're talking about finding those audiences for artists, like what do you suggest as far as taking advantages of a bunch of different areas to look for the audience?
Absolutely. So first, I want to go back to your first comment because, listen, I'll be the first person to be like, as an artist, your focus shouldn't be on the blogs and publications. But when I say that, I mean that from like a higher tier level, because I feel like artists are like, oh, I want to be on Complex. Oh, I want to be on the Fader. But here's the thing, and you already mentioned this a little bit, is that these, and maybe not the mainstream ones or whatever, but it's the publications, and the media platforms such as the FiveTwenty Collective, such as all these other podcasts and underground independent publications and blogs that are doing good work that you should be maybe not necessarily obsessed with, but you guys are willing to give more music a chance before Complex does. You know what I mean? And I think that's what's so important, because it's not just about the clout. It's not just about, how many followers does such and such publication. It's about the energy that comes with it. The energy that you guys give to artists is worth so much more than some of the energy that some of these cats be chasing after, because you guys will give them a good quote because you genuinely like the music. You know what I mean? And it's so important that we lift up blogs, publications, podcasts, and coverage that is doing the genuine work and that do care about the artist, because it may be in rare form, but they're out there, and they're usually more apt and willing to give energy versus some of these other places. So I want to start there, but In terms of the role in finding your target audience and other platforms and stuff like that, I think it really comes down to, number one, kind of doing research and understanding like what platforms do what and who, like Griselda probably shouldn't pitch to 520. You know what I mean? But if you find a publication that fits what you're looking for, that's what you're supposed to go for. I feel like a lot of artists are just forcing themselves, trying to get on platforms that just have, quote, big numbers and, maybe I'll go viral on this platform or whatever. But you want people, again, like you guys and like some of these other independent publications that are willing to sit down and listen to the music and give the energy needed. You know what I mean? A lot of these, some of the bigger industry places, they don't care about the art form. They don't care about the culture per se. They're just trying to get a check. Focus on the people that are giving you energy, that genuinely want to see independent music and art and artists push the needle forward.
Yeah, and I know you've mentioned it, like, on your Twitter account before. Guys shouldn't overlook consultants either, right? Yeah, it's going to cost you some money, but man, what they're offering has value there. So respect that value. But on top of that, there might be some people out there just trying to make a buck off of an artist, but there are people like yourself, like an Aaron Knight, that I truly believe care about artists and want to see them, be successful and try to help how they can.
Exactly. And the only thing I'll say amongst the dollar amount is a lot of artists are out here expecting a way bigger profit than what a lot of us are charging. And a lot of us are well aware of that. And so, keep that in mind. Here's the thing. It's like I said at the top of this, it's always worth investing in educating yourself. It really is. And I'm not even saying with me. I tell artists this all the time. Work with someone who works well with you. Someone who's going to, help you move along, but also that's going to call you out on your stuff. You don't want a yes man. Some artists do want yes men. I'm not even going to front on that. But if you're trying to move forward and stuff like that, you want someone who's going to call you out on your stuff, but also who's going to let you know what's already awesome about you and stuff like that. So, again, investing in educating yourself is so important, because otherwise that's how you get scammed.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And the one thing I get from you is that, you're pretty humble about stuff, but I want to give you an opportunity, like just put it out there for folks, man. Like someone who's reaching out to Stowe to help them and in a consulting capacity, like what is it that you're telling them? Hey, this is what you get from me.
Right. Well, listen, here's the thing. And I take a lot of pride kind of in the work that I do with Taste Creators, that's based out in Philadelphia. Shout out to Breezy. And the thing is that we're always going to give advice that's customized to you. Sure, like you can hop on Twitter, and I think, honestly, I'm going to be real. I think this is where kind of I mess up on the business end, because a lot of cats are like, oh, well, if I just read his tweets, I'll be good. But, fam, it's one thing for me to say, get a website, but it's another thing for me to sit down with you and be like, okay, this is an all right website, but you're missing some pretty key information here. Okay, your Twitter looks all right, but you just told me all this stuff about who you are and what you do and what you've accomplished, but I don't see it on your social media. So if I don't see it on your social media, how in the world are your fans seeing it? So, I'm always going to sit down and first off, before I even talk to you on a consultation level, I've already done between 5 and 10 hours of research on you and your platform and what you do. So, I feel like, we at Taste Creators take a lot of pride in genuinely doing our research and doing our work. because we actually enjoy it. I love sitting down and taking notes on a client in a consultation that I'm about to have, and really breaking down, how to help them take those next steps. And so the process is customized specifically to you. No one consultation is the same. We don't just be like, all right, let's just go over the same thing. No, because every artist experience is different. Every artist is trying to reach a different client. Every artist, expresses themselves differently and wants to reach different people. So, you're going to have a unique experience with us that you can almost guarantee you won't find anywhere else, because unless they're one of our contemporaries, honestly, a lot of our peers, they're incredible. They do just as good as work as we do. And so we always back them up. And so, but there are a lot of scammers that do absolutely nothing but steal from artists. So, we always want to make sure that, that we're building trust with the artist, but that the experience is unique to them.
Yeah, man. And if you guys are following Stowe on Twitter and you're thinking that what he's putting in those tweets is all that he has, like, you guys need to go back and look at it closer. If you can't tell that he's got rounds in the chamber for you, if you reach out, man, just don't overlook that. Don't overlook that and find out. Again, joining me on the FiveTwenty Collective Podcast phone line, it is Stowe. Man, before we move on, you mentioned taste creators, and I want to make sure to give it it's due process here, man. Like, give us just a quick rundown. Tell people about taste creators and all the important information there, like where to find it and how to get connected.
Yeah, absolutely. At Taste Creators, we're based out of Philadelphia. I am based out of Ohio, but we have people all over the world. LA, Atlanta, we got people in Paris. We're worldwide, for real. And our whole job really is to, again, just help creators get their bag their way. As I'm sure, with you dealing with so much in the industry as well, is that, a lot of artists have this perception, like, I just got to land on a playlist, or I just got to land on a blog, or I just got to go viral by spamming literally every verified account I could possibly find. We're here to tell you there's a way easier way to make that happen if you just trust yourself and lean more into what you're already doing, and again, just kind of tweaking some things. Again, like I mentioned earlier, 9 times out of 10, the music is already there. It's rare that I run into an artist's music and I'm just like, oh Lord, like, this is not good. Like, please stop. 9 times out of 10, I'm like, okay, the music is there, but we got to work on your branding. We got to work on your business pitch. We got to work on your promotion and all this stuff. And so that's what we really do at Taste Creators. We help you really develop a strategy for not just album rollouts, but non-album season content. It's so important. And really learning how to build up your fan base and cultivate it to a point where, it's not you begging people to listen to music. It's them begging you, yo, where's the music? Cause once you have that, you've got a bag incoming. That's really where our focus lies. We've done a ton of stuff between A3C. We did A3C, I think, 3 years in a row, I believe. Worked with some incredible names between Casey Veggies, Pat Jr., Fire the Siren. Obviously, I've worked with Crumb, There He Has It, Bronze Nazareth, Rock Marciano. The list goes on and on. So, we, between mainstream acts, underground acts, independent acts, we've worked with the whole spectrum.
Yeah, man. And shout out to you and Pat Jr. I know that you guys have had a very successful experience with his latest project. So shout out to you guys on that.
No, thank you. I've been a fan of his for, I want to say since I was in college. So for at least 10 plus years. Was very thankful to work with him about 5 years ago, I think. And now, I mean, you can just look at what he's doing now, and that was our whole goal from the beginning, is just to have artists organically just come up. And he's done so much cool stuff, from performing in art galleries, selling just straight up art. He was on Rap Portraits, the podcast with Yo from DJ Booth just the other day. Like, he's producing for all these, all these legends and stuff like that. So, we were very thankful to help out, but he's taken our advice on what we've said and just absolutely ran with it. And we couldn't be more thankful.
That's awesome, man. That is awesome. And man, I'll tell you what, it's seeing, someone like yourself doing those kinds of things, man, that's inspiring for what we try to do here at 520. Like, I mean, I don't know how much you know about, kind of our story or anything like that, but like, the whole point of 520 was, as I was interacting with some of these independent artists, that were like, man, we want to get on Rapzilla, we want to get on Trackstars, we want to get here and there, but, it's not easy to get there right now. We wish I had a place that was, for us. And so we really started this whole thing here as just hopefully a stepping stone to those, more established platforms, like Rapzilla, like Trackstars. And what's crazy is now that we're here for wrapping up year 3, we're starting to see some of that happen, where like, oh man, I remember rocking with this guy when hardly anyone knew about him, and now he's a freshman or whatever. It's crazy, man. So, again, big shout out to you just for, being an inspiration to keep moving forward, because it's not always easy every day,
Right. Well, and listen, shout out to you, honestly, because I'm a little late to the train. I ain't even gonna front on that. But the thing is that, with you all being independent and whatnot, like, again, I'm gonna be real. I got on Rapzilla by accident, and that was probably because at the time I was in college. But because before that, like, it was solo dolo. I was just blogging on my own, not getting paid. Like, no one was sliding me nothing. And I was just writing because I just wanted to see the culture do well. And then you guys have that same energy. And what I appreciate about what you do is that, I'm going to put this as lightly as possible. You know how the Christian hip hop space can be, and just even bringing up a Griselda or a Rock Marciano is like, whoa, what are you doing? Don't do that. Don't bring up those names. Those are bad names in the Christian hip hop space. Don't say that. And that's how it used to be anyway. And so I appreciate you for being open, I guess, and not, as closed-minded as I feel sometimes parts of the industry, especially the Christian hip hop industry, can be sometimes. So I appreciate that.
100%. And man, I would be remiss if we did not talk about the Boom Bap Review, man. Again, another thing that you're doing that I hope someday, not that I'm trying to do the Boom Bap Review, but, just writing a book, man, is something that's been a goal of mine for a while. And here you're getting ready to do what, volume 3, right?
Yes, the trilogy is almost complete. I personally just wrapped up my 10-year anniversary review of Roots Undone record, which is crazy to think about. But yeah, shouts out to MC Till, Adam Hayden. What is this? This was almost 5 years ago, I think. Brothers was struggling. I was working at Kroger at the time. Really just like trying to figure out what to do. I had been writing for over a decade at that point, or close to a decade at that point. And we went to an Indian restaurant, got some, I get what I always get now, some chicken, some rice. And we just talked about really starting a label. But doing it right, doing it the right way. We're not here to take advantage of anybody or take advantage of artists, but we also wanted to take that next step and create community. And also kind of immortalize hip hop. If you take a look at a lot of the publications that are around, at least at the top, a lot of independent and underground and, don't even get me stuck on Christian hip hop can be kind of disrespected, and just forgotten about and left out of coverage and all this stuff. So we really wanted to do something that would, solidify that. And, even for myself, I do one day have visions of the Boom Bap Review or whatever being in a library, years down the line, and it's impossible. It is impossible to cover everything that comes out, but even if we can just get 100 releases in a book every year, hopefully someone down the line will be like, dang, I didn't realize Crumb and 30 Hazard dropped a collab album in 2019. Like, we're so far ahead now, like, Deep Space 5 is now Deep Space 12 or something like that. Like, who knows? But, we really wanted to capture these years, and, I can't even front. I'm mad about how low my contribution was last year, just because of the pandemic. So much good music came out, but this year we're all coming together. We have a really special book coming together, and I'm excited to share it. It's crazy to have 3 of them out and out in the wild, and again, just covering some of the best independent and underground hip hop that we've seen. It's a blessing. I never in my wildest dreams, I always wanted to be an author. I'm not even going to front on that. But I never thought I would have 3 books out before the age of 31. I really didn't.
That's amazing, man, for real. And so if you're talking about a target audience for your book, man, like who's the people that need to go out, and if they haven't got it, make sure they pick it up, and where do they get it?
Word, yeah. If they're hip hop fans in general, and it's the wide spectrum, right? There's this weird kind of, I feel like, stereotype or stigma that, like, only old people like underground hip hop and stuff like that. And it's like, wait a minute, I was like 14 when I listened to Sivion and Deep Space 5 and stuff like that. And now here I am 17 years later. Did I do that math right? I think I did. 17 years later, still literally shaking hands with them and talking to them and stuff like that. And, there's kids now that are younger than us that are going to hear this music and see these books and all this jazz. So, if you make good hip hop, because here's the thing, we say Boom Bap Review, sure, but we're very we just want to cover good independent and underground music. So that's really what it is. BoomBapReview.com. Check it out. We're actually running a deal right now. You can get all 3 books. That's guaranteed, over 300 pages of music, all for $30. We're very thankful, to even be able to do this. The 3rd book is going to be crazy. I'm very excited to talk to everyone about some of these records. And again, I'm now covering 10-year anniversary records of stuff I covered for the first time in college as an up-and-coming journalist. So it's just this weird kind of like, oh man, I'm back in my dorm at Ohio University, sweating because they don't have no AC, but I'm banging some roots, so it's all good.
and when does Volume 3 drop?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I actually believe, I know for a fact that my portion of the book is due on November 17th. So that means that the book probably comes out. Actually, hold on. That was me just stalling to see, to pull up my Google Doc to see if I can find the actual date. Oh my goodness. Dang, I lied. Maybe I don't have the actual date. But it will be in November. I do know it's November. And it's going to be, it really will be our biggest release yet. We've got a lot of people on board writing for it. And, yeah, we're excited about it, but definitely November, next month, 2021, we will get Boom Bap Review Volume 3. Again, if you want all 3 in a little set, nice, cute little set, you can grab that for $30. Pre-orders for book 3, I think, are live on our website, boombapreview.com, but they will be live elsewhere once we start really getting the ball rolling and getting the cover art super finalized and stuff like that.
That's what's up, man. And I know that if nothing else, if people follow you, you're going to be giving that info out as stuff happens. And just, they need to know, just what's going on with you in general, man. So where are they going to do that at?
Yeah, absolutely. Yo, follow me on Twitter at Big Stow. That's usually where I'm the most active. Follow me on Instagram, Stow the Last. Now listen, I want to make sure I get this because I mentioned this earlier about taking steps. This is a perfect example. I am not perfect either. I'm still working on being consistent on Instagram. It's one of the easiest things to do, but I'm so lazy with it that I sometimes struggle with it. So bear with me if you don't see consistent posting, but I'm working on it. I just posted today, actually. So that's still the last. And then, honestly, if you're really trying to be A1, here's a little playlist opportunity for you, because I have a newsletter over at bigstow.substack. That's substack.com. I have a newsletter there. I think we just passed 250 subscribers. There's a free playlist opportunity if you do your research and you look up and find it. It's pretty obvious. Just going to ask for a little information in terms of what song you're submitting, but there's a free playlist opportunity in there. Definitely subscribe there as well.
Yes, sir. And guys, I know I've said it, but I'm going to repeat it. One of my favorite follows on Twitter, this man right here, he said it, Big Stow on Twitter. So make sure you go and follow him if you're not, because you're missing out. I'm just going to leave it at that. So, man, Stow, dude, I love it, man. I feel like there's so many more things that we could talk about. But we want to be respectful of your time. So we'll just say maybe we get you back on the show in the not too distant future. How about that?
Oh, absolutely. Let's definitely do it. I would love to do a part 2 because I feel like I ranted so much. I didn't talk this out of an hour, but
no, I love the ranting. I love it, man. That's what we're here for.
Bet. Yo, I sincerely appreciate you for having me on. It's, I've been on a couple podcasts, but it's very rare that I actually get asked to do these. So I sincerely appreciate you for bringing me on, and for letting me rant and actually, asking about my history and stuff like that. It genuinely means more than you know.
Oh, we'll do it again soon, sir. I promise. So, guys, again, that was Stow joining me on the FiveTwenty Collective Podcast phone line. Make sure you go check him out. Support what they've got going. Pick up your copy of the Boom Bap Review. And make sure you go check out this month's episode sponsors, including the Bookkeeper 24/7 at tbk247.com now. And we will check you guys out on the next podcast episode.